All right, let's just dive right in. We are living in this incredible moment where AI can literally create entire worlds from just a few words. But behind the scenes, there's this hidden race going on, a race to build the rules and frameworks to actually control all this new power.
I mean, you've seen it. We've all seen it. This absolute explosion in AI-powered video. We are so far beyond just generating text or a static image. We're in an era where a single prompt can spit out a whole cinematic scene, with characters, movement, and a story that actually makes sense. And this is completely changing the game for creative industries, everything from filmmaking to marketing.
Now, what's so fascinating here is just how specialized all these tools are getting. It's no longer about finding the one best tool for everything. Nope, it's about picking the right tool for the specific job you're doing. So if you need super realistic physics and actual storytelling, you're probably looking at Sora, which acts more like a world simulator. But hey, if you're a filmmaker and you need that perfect dolly shot, that precise camera control, you're going to want Runway Gen 2. Kling is becoming the go-to for longer, really detailed scenes, while Luma is just a speed demon for whipping up animated concepts. And if it's all about the artistic vibe, Pixelabs is your specialist.
And that right there is the billion-dollar question, isn't it? All this amazing creative power comes with a huge, huge amount of responsibility. How do we build these systems so they're not just powerful, but also safe? And this is where the conversation pivots, We're moving from the creative what if and right into the very real world of AI security.
So, to secure systems this complex, you can't just sit around and hope for the best. The experts have to get proactive. They have to start thinking exactly like the attackers. They've got to try to break the system themselves before the bad guys get a chance to. It's all about playing offense on your own defense.
And this whole practice has a name. It's called AI red teaming. The analogy here is just perfect. You are literally hiring a team of ethical, good guy hackers to throw the kitchen sink at your AI. They look for every possible weakness, every single blind spot. This is the absolute first line of defense if you want to make these systems tough enough to withstand real-world threats.
But it is not easy. Not at all. Red teaming is facing some massive hurdles. For one, there's no single rulebook on how to do it, so it's really hard to compare the results from one company to the next. Then there's the fact that the models themselves are these giant, complicated black boxes. We're talking billions of parameters. Nobody can fully understand their internal logic. And maybe most importantly, the bad guys never sleep. They are always cooking up new ways to attack.
So, okay, we've talked about securing the system from hackers on the outside. But here's the twist. What happens when the problem is coming from the inside? What if the AI, all on its own, just decides to generate something dangerous or biased or just plain toxic? Well, that's a completely different kind of security problem. And this brings us to this really incredible idea of AI alignment. The goal isn't just to build walls around the AI anymore. It's about building safety right into its core, right into its decision-making process. It's almost like we're trying to give the AI a conscience.
One of the most promising ways to do this is a technique called constitutional AI. And the idea is actually simple, but it's super powerful. You give the AI a set of principles, a constitution, if you will, and then you train it to review its own answers against those rules. So if a response violates the Constitution, the AI has to critique itself and actually rewrite the answer. It learns how to self-correct without a human having to step in every single time.
But the big question is, does it work? Well, it depends. And this chart just shows that perfectly. A recent study put constitutional AI to the test on a few smaller models. And look at this. For Llama 3.1, it was a home run. It cut the rate of harmful responses by more than half. But then you look over at the QN and Gemma models, and the improvement was barely there. So what this tells us is that the AI's underlying architecture, how it was designed from the ground up, matters a lot.
And here's the really juicy part. The reason why they failed. They failed in two totally different ways. The Gemma and Gwen models, they often couldn't even see that their own answer was harmful to begin with. You could say they had a perception problem. Llama, on the other hand, usually did see the harm. But instead of just refusing to answer, it would just kind of slap a warning label on the bad content and give it to you anyway. It had a compliance problem. This just goes to show you, there is no one-size-fits-all solution for AI safety.
Okay, so this brings us to the final, biggest question of all. We've gone from securing one system to trying to align one model. But how on earth do we manage an entire ecosystem where thousands of these AIs are out there, interacting with us and with each other? This is where the policymakers and regulators have to step in. And one of the biggest moves in this entire space, maybe the biggest so far, is the European Union's AI Act.
It's this landmark, ambitious attempt to write a comprehensive rulebook for the entire AI market. And the powers this act gives to regulators are, well, they're pretty unprecedented. They can demand to see a company's private training data. They can even demand access to the source code itself. But here's the real game changer. They can demand all of this information without even suspecting that a company broke the law. That is a massive shift in power, from reacting to problems to proactively monitoring everything.
But, of course, with any law this big, there's a huge risk of unintended consequences. The stated goal here is noble: create a fair and competitive market. But the potential reality? The heavy costs of complying with all these rules could give a massive advantage to the giant companies that can afford armies of lawyers, while basically crushing the small, innovative startups. So the very law designed to create fairness could accidentally kill competition.
So as we pull all these different pieces together, it becomes really clear that making AI safe and useful isn't just one problem we can solve and move on from. It's a continuous, multi-layered challenge that we have to fight on several fronts all at the same time. You've got to secure the systems from outside attackers using red teaming. You have to align the models from the inside so they don't cause harm on their own, using ideas like constitutional AI. And on top of all that, you have to govern the entire market with smart regulations like the AI Act. You can't just pick one and call it a day. You have to be doing all three all the time.
And that really brings us to our final thought, perfectly captured in this quote from Thibault Schreppel. He basically argues that the future of AI isn't just some technical problem for coders to solve in a basement. It's a deeply human and collaborative challenge. It's going to demand that lawyers, economists, ethicists, and technologists all get in the same room and combine their expertise. And that right there, that is the biggest challenge. And maybe, just maybe, the greatest opportunity that lies ahead of us.